Good morning. Any visitors this morning? Nobody? Wow. Everyone's in Tampa, I guess. This morning, as we read the scriptures, as you know, for the year B, we read St. Mark's Gospel, and we find ourselves still in the first chapter where Mark is laying the foundation for how Christ began his public ministry. And last week, he called his initial 4 disciples, all of whom lived in this city or town called Capernaum, which is in East Galilee. It's on the eastern side of the lake. And he returns now to Capernaum, which is ultimately going to become his center as he does his 3 years of ministry. And he enters the synagogue. Now, he's somewhat unknown. It's I'm sure there was word spreading that he was in town, whoever he was, and what his story was. And so, at any rate, they invited him to preach. And that's why I always ask if there's visitors to see if anybody wants to preach, but no one ever takes me up on it. At any rate, he gets up and he apparently gives this sermon that wows them. And they begin to say, wow, this is so much better than our pastor. And they say he teaches with authority. And they are just enamored with him. Then there's a guy in the synagogue who apparently they all knew, and because it's pretty clear that they thought he was possessed. Now, possession in those days could have meant a lot of things. It could have meant psychosis. It could have meant true demonic possession. Well, one of the things was clear that if there was a exorcism needed, the rabbis did exorcisms, but they did them with these long and drawn-out rituals in which the demon was driven out. But Jesus didn't do that. He just said, go. Now they're really confused. What's going on here? Who is this guy? And he preaches with authority, and the evil one just leaves when he's told. This is amazing. And so Jesus is laying the groundwork for the ministry, which for the next 3 years he'll carry out around the Sea of Galilee in all of these small towns. And the message that he was giving is very clear. That I come as a prophet, I come from God, I come to speak to you about the things of God. So he speaks with authority. He didn't have to quote any other sources. He just spoke. And the second thing was that he would dominate evil. In some ways, this little vignette from the gospel is really the story of Adam and Eve. That just as Adam and Eve succumbed to evil, Jesus is saying, I'm not doing that. Evil, you're out of here. And evil goes. Now, the message for you and I is simple. That when we preach about our faith, you and I, when you and I go out into the world and we proclaim that we're Catholic, do we do it with authority? Do we do it with consistency? Does it ring true? I was riding a bus one time, and I had my collar on, and a man who was under the influence got on the bus. And very loud voices was saying, I was 12 years in a Catholic school, Father. And all I could think of was, I'm so proud.